Hey folks, Savage, welcome back to the channel, and today we're taking a look at a brand new, should we say, Heroes of Flight type aircraft that Asobo are releasing for the simulator. It was going to be the AN2, but instead we have the Beechcraft Staggerwing, which is, I believe in this case, the D17S. In fact, it said it there on the screen. There you go. So what is this? It looks a bit of a weird plane. The Staggerwing is an American biplane with a negative staggered wing, so the top wing is further back than the front wing, or the lower wing, giving it more speed, in theory. Most at the time were upper wing forward. And this first flew in 1932, and it was designed by Walter Beech at the height of the Great Depression. And it was actually Ted Wells and Walter Beech, I should say. So it first flew, of course, with the Beechcraft Company. It was their aircraft. And unlike many biplanes, it's a retractable gear one. So we did get a biplane for this release. It wasn't the one we expected. Now this one I can confirm for you is the Carenado model. It is titled Asobo, Microsoft, whatever. Once you go into the actual files, the actual aircraft folder is MS Carenado. Yeah. We knew Carenado had one coming. Turns out theirs got sped up and thrust into this pile due to licensing issues, I believe, with the AN2. Nothing to do with what's going on over in that part of the world. Now, the aircraft itself, what's its specifications? This being the Model 17S, has a 450 horsepower Pratt & Whitney R985 Wasp Junior engine. And there are only 23 of these built, based on the statistics I can see here, so they're a very rare aircraft. Now, of course, they flew with the military as well. They flew for Australia, Bolivia, Brazil, China, Cuba, Finland, Honduras, Netherlands, New Zealand, Peru, Spain, UK, USA. Nearly everybody had them, which is quite a lot, actually, and a number of surviving examples. I believe at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the US, and 2 in Canada, 3 in the UK. Comes with quite a lot of liveries, including, for some reason, Microsoft loves to give us advertising liveries with the Aviators Club on it. Not sure anybody would want to actually fly that, but there you go. Let's take a look, shall we? And we'll go outside, as always. It's a little late in the day. Let's correct that. Well, it's apparently saying it's March, so let's move that forward to June, where it's nice and sunny. Take a proper look at this aeroplane. Now, being a Carenado plane, it's the first Carenado aircraft which lets you use your own pilots. Okay, I might fly this a lot. A lot. Okay, that's... do this to the rest of your aircraft, Carenado. Please. Please. I like this way more. Love Carenado aircraft, but hate the fixed pilots. Detailing and modelling is exactly what I expected from the P3D and FSX versions. Like all their other releases, it's essentially the same 3D model, but heavily revamped in terms of model materials, animations, and textures for the new sim. Wasp Junior engine looks stunning. Aircraft looks gorgeous. Let's go inside. Now we have the same beautiful wood trim and lovely design, and the windows do open, which is a nice feature. The door opens there. Now, can I close this from where I'm sat? I don't think I can. That's fun. Okay, click spots are a little bit tricky to reach that, so we can't do that. However, I'm expecting there is no tablet. So a lot of the Carenado features may be missing from this one. There is, I looked in the file beforehand, no obvious manual. I could be wrong. However, the aircraft, I believe in the Carenado original, let you click away these with the yoke. Not in this case. The yoke, however, is removable. We have a radio down here. There's no GPS, as one might think there might be. Not that I can see, at least. Now, I could be corrected. Feel free to put in the comments if there's something I've not seen here or have missed, because there's every chance that could happen. I'd be surprised if there wasn't a few extra hidden details in this one, because it does seem to be a little stripped based on what we've seen with the actual Carenado aircraft in the past. These are fuel tank selectors for main and wing tanks. I'm going to have to go inside the plane to close the darn door. There we go. Back seat's rather nice, actually. Spacious, at least. Baggage area at the rear, behind here. Whoa, hello. Now, on the Carenado, I believe that little baggage door on the outside did open. I think there was a baggage door. I could be wrong. It's on that side there for us, which would put it inside about here. The speed on this is always annoying. There is no hatch, of course, there, so we'll have to find it out. But let's go back into the actual cockpit itself. Now, there wasn't an actual manual hidden in the actual folder for it. Maybe people will be able to tell us at some point where there is one. Well, enough talking about. Let's get this thing started and get ourselves going, shall we? So, mags are off. I've got my actual battery on right now and the avionics. Lights are set to the correct positions. So, with our fuel selected, we'll put our mags to both. And we'll start. That engine sound is rather nice, I must say. Okay, looking good there. This is a different brake for a Carenado aircraft. It actually sounds rather good. Mixture is good. Prop is good. Throttle should be idled out. Parking brake off. And let's get ourselves taxiing. Now, it's a tail dragger, so it's going to be a little on the interesting side there. This is, of course, the exterior 3D view. Now, we do have flaps on this aircraft, I believe. As you see there, electrical flaps on the lower wing, which is the entire control surface of the lower wing, with ailerons being on the upper wing, and elevator at the rear. Rudder, of course, as well. Steering tail wheel, which is rather useful, but we do have flaps, which is quite a nice feature. Of course, a very complex biplane to have both retractable gear and flaps. Let's get ourselves taxied out here. Typical Carenado, nice ground handling sound. One thing I do like about their aircraft. Get ourselves turned here onto the runway at Orcas Island. Okay, ready to go. Of course, that's our starter button there. Let's get ourselves rolling, shall we? Nice, smooth application of power. Get the nose down. A little bit of rudder control as we're approaching the edge of the runway there. Always takes me a moment to get used to a different plane for the first time. And she lifts gently off the ground. Lots of grunt going on here. Pull those flaps up and we'll retract our gear. That is rather nice. Of course, fully retractable tail wheel too, which cleans the airframe up really nicely, giving a very unique silhouette. So the yes, the triangular frame here in the cockpit, something you quite commonly see in float planes and bush aircraft, but of course it's a structural component here to help reinforce the aircraft with such big windows at the front. Handling performance is rather nice, actually, I will say. Put our RPM into a good place here. That was a little bit far back from what I wanted. Okay. Power's in the curve. The engine sounds delightful, I've got to say. Carenado's engine sounds are normally one of the things I make the biggest gripes about, but this one? This sounds rather nice. Let's just check in case I've missed anything on here that's a different kind of switch that I'm not used to. These are all lights. Yep, they are. Digital fuel flow. Modern radio. But no sign of the tablets. Like I said, I did find a... Wind noise isn't ridiculous, but you can tell the window's open. Like I say, I found an XML document inside the aircraft about a tablet. I'm thinking that feature was stripped when it came to becoming a Microsoft aircraft rather than it being a Carenado release, because a lot of those ground candy features were stripped out. Price is similar, if not slightly lower than Carenado aircraft, at about £12 or $15. So I'm thinking the extra features were stripped out to make this one of those... should we say, favourite historical aircraft they're releasing. I forget the name exactly of the series they're going to be doing them, or the historically relevant aircraft. I think a number of those features were stripped because there's documentation, or at least a file referring to a tablet, but no presence of one that I can find. And the lack of, honestly, the lack of the Carenado pilots makes this a huge plus for me. I mean, look at this. You've got your actual standard choice of pilot, which, for me, honestly, would dramatically improve every Carenado aeroplane I ever fly. Because you get to have someone who represents you. You know, gender, skin colour, choice of clothing in many cases. You can even have custom pilot clothing now in figures. Yeah, I think it's important. It's nice to actually have a pilot that represents you. Not every pilot is a old white guy. Sorry, but aviation is diverse these days. Yes, it's a figure in a third-person view of an aeroplane, but you know, it matters to people, especially if you're not represented by that figure. Alright, we're going to set ourselves up for an approach in here to AUKUS and bring her back down for landing. Never landed this before, and we're going to have to make a guess somewhat on that approach. Now, speed on this aircraft's pretty good. We're up past 170 miles an hour there. She is a relatively quick plane. Of course, we do have navigation radios on this, so we can do at least NDB. I believe we also technically can do VOR. It's just an old style indicator. Okay, gear down. Flaps first stage. Second stage of the flaps, some power, a little bit low here on our approach, so I'll keep this attitude and altitude level somewhat. Whilst we get a little bit closer here. Being a tail dragger, you're going to want to watch your approach because, yeah, seeing over that nose can be a little bit tricky, which can lead to you making a much more steep approach than you'd like to. One of the easiest ways of doing that or correcting that is the crabbed approach for a tail dragger. A little bit more power here to keep ourselves angled up. I'm going to kick my rudder over, which brings the runway nicely into view off the side of the engine cowling. A little bit of a weird hassle at first, but once you get used to doing it, it makes tail draggers with long noses, or high noses in this case, a lot more manageable, because you can see what's going on. Okay. Behaviour is pretty nice, actually, in the crabbed approach. Not finding much trouble whatsoever. Aircraft's being nice and responsible. I'm just about 80 miles an hour right now. Going to maintain that on the way down here. Okay, just make sure I drift a little bit more towards the center line here. Little bit of a stall horn as we just touch down. Not too big a deal. A very high nose is quite interesting. Applying quite a lot of brake here. No tendency to throw the nose forwards. Okay, that's good. And we're in time for a taxiway, my favourite. Went for a three-pointer there. Skipped once, but not the end of the world for a first try. I will say, interior is lovely. Feels very confined, of course. That metal bar is something to get used to. But there are quite a few around here as structural braces. It's a very unique aircraft, and one that has a lot of fun to it, I think. There's a little bit of a weirdness with the texturing there. You saw that there when the light changed? It's almost like the propeller disc is causing some sort of weirdness to occur. Let's pull her in here to a stop. There we go. Cut the fuel. Parking brake is on. So, as I turn off my head, what do I think of the Beech Staggerwing here from definitely Carenado? Would have liked to have the tablet features, maybe include the Garmin area on there. Would have been quite nice given the fact that you don't have a huge host of other avionics options, whereas you do in many other types. This is of course the retro, but with a couple of modern accoutrements version of the cockpit. In terms of restored aircraft, a tablet wouldn't be unrealistic, especially a yoke-mounted one or one on the suction mount off to the side. I think it'd be a nice thing to do. The fact you have your stock FS pilots in this thing is a delight. I can't believe it took Asobo doing this aircraft with Carenado for that to happen. It's my constant bug. The sounds are delightful. The flight behaviour feels good. Obviously, it not being made by Asobo, like a couple of the last ones that have come out, it's definitely had better performance in other areas. I don't know how the 17 flies, so I could be wrong. However, it flies very nicely, and it's manageable to handle. Especially if you're a novice to tail draggers, it's a very fun starting place. Would I recommend it? Yeah, I think this is a good buy. Drop in the comments if you find out if there is a tablet. I'm pretty sure it was one of those things where I've seen remnant files of it being pulled out when it was going to be a Carenado release. I could be wrong. Would I buy this again? Yup. Love this plane in FSX. Love it again now. Thanks for watching. Bye.